Here's a question. What's the first thing you do when you wake up? If the honest answer involves your phone, you are handing the most neurologically valuable window of your entire day to someone else's agenda. And doing it is quietly compounding into one of the most costly decisions of your life. Let me explain why. The cortisol-dopamine collision. When you wake up, your brain is in a specific neurological state. Cortisol, often called the stress hormone, but more accurately a focus and activation hormone, is at its natural daily peak. This is your brain saying, I am ready, I am primed, give me something to work on. This window, the first 60 to 90 minutes after waking, is when your prefrontal cortex is most accessible, when deep thinking is most available, when the creative, strategic, high-level version of your mind is online and waiting. And what do most people do with it? They immediately flood it with dopamine. Notifications, news, social media, messages, emails, stimulation from 100 different directions, all of it triggering small dopamine hits, none of it requiring actual thought. Here's what that does neurologically. When you flood your brain with rapid, low-effort dopamine first thing in the morning, you're essentially recalibrating your baseline. You're telling your reward system, this level of stimulation is the new normal. Now, when you try to sit down and do something hard, write, think, build, create, plan, your brain compares that task to the stimulation it just received. And deep work feels unbearable by comparison. Not because you're lazy, because you chemically preloaded the wrong state. But there's a second layer here that nobody talks about. Your first action every morning is an identity signal. Every single morning, you are casting a vote for who you are. If the first vote you cast every morning is, I am someone who immediately checks what the world needs from me, you are reinforcing a deeply passive identity. An identity that says your direction is set externally, that your focus belongs to whoever puts something in front of you first. Do that for 10 years. 10 years of mornings where the first act is surrender, where you hand the prime real estate of your mind to notifications, algorithms, and other people's urgencies. The compound effect of that is not small. It shapes how you see yourself. It shapes what you believe you're capable of. It shapes whether you feel like someone who creates their life or someone who reacts to it. Now imagine 10 years of mornings where the first act is intentional. You wake up, you don't touch your phone. You spend the first 30 to 60 minutes doing something that belongs entirely to you. Maybe it's movement, maybe it's writing, maybe it's working on the project that matters most to you. Maybe it's genuine silence and clarity. The content matters less than the principle. You are the first agenda of the day, not the algorithm, not your inbox, you. Year 1, you're slightly more focused, slightly more productive. Year 5, you've built things, real things, things that wouldn't exist otherwise because you finally protected the time to build them. Year 10, that daily act of intentionality has compounded into something most people can't even imagine from where they currently stand. And it started with one decision. What do you do in the first 60 minutes? Decision 3 is next. And I want you to pay close attention here because this is the one. This is the decision that quietly destroys more human potential than almost any other single force. It's not what you think it is.
The hidden cost of your silence. Decision 3. What you tolerate. Not what you experience. Not what happens to you. What you accept. What you allow to continue. What you look at, feel uncomfortable about, and then decide, consciously or not, to leave unchanged. This is the silent killer. Because every single thing you tolerate sends a signal, and that signal isn't going outward to the situation, to the other person, to the world. It's going inward, straight into the architecture of your self-concept. The tolerance loop. Here's how it works. You tolerate something small, a disrespectful comment you don't address, a standard at work that's below what you know you're capable of, a relationship dynamic that makes you feel small, a habit you keep excusing, a boundary you keep allowing to be crossed. Each act of tolerance sends a message to your nervous system. This is what I accept. This is my standard. This is what I am worth. And your brain, which is always building a model of who you are, updates accordingly. Now here's the compounding problem. Each thing you tolerate makes the next tolerance easier.
The standard drifts, the threshold shifts, and slowly, over months, over years, you find yourself living inside a life that you wouldn't have consciously chosen, built one act of tolerance at a time, the big tolerances. There are small tolerances and big tolerances. The small ones, the clutter in your home, the minor inefficiencies, the small discomforts, these matter, but they're not what I'm focused on right now. The big tolerances are the ones with compounding consequences. Number 1, tolerating a career that has no ceiling. If you are in a role, an industry, or a structure that has a hard cap on what you can earn, build, or become, and you are not actively working to change that, you are making a decision. You're deciding that the ceiling is acceptable. 10 years from now, the compound effect of that tolerance is a life permanently capped at someone else's number. Number 2, tolerating relationships that drain your belief in yourself. This is the most invisible one. There are people in your life, maybe in your closest circle, who consistently, subtly undermine your confidence, your ambition, or your sense of possibility. They don't necessarily do it maliciously. Sometimes it's projection, sometimes it's their own fear, but the effect on you is the same. Every conversation leaves you slightly smaller, slightly less certain, slightly less likely to take the risk, make the move, back yourself. And if you tolerate that, if you stay in proximity to that energy year after year, what do you think the 10-year version of you looks like? Number 3, tolerating the gap between who you say you are and how you actually live. This is the most painful one. Most people have a story about themselves. I'm ambitious, I'm disciplined, I care about my health, I'm a good friend, I'm building something. And then there's how they actually live. When those two things are out of alignment, when you say you're one thing and consistently act as another, your brain notices. It always notices. And it updates the real file, not the story file, the evidence file. Every time you break a commitment to yourself, you add to that evidence. Over time, you don't just have a discipline problem, you have an identity problem. You stop believing that you are someone who does what they say. And when you stop believing that, you stop trying. Because what's the point of setting a goal you already know on some level you won't follow through on? The tolerance of that gap is catastrophic over 10 years. The reset. So what's the decision here? The decision is to raise your floor. Not dramatically, not overnight, but to identify right now the 3 most significant things you are currently tolerating that are incompatible with where you want to be in 10 years. And to decide today that the tolerance ends. Not with a dramatic proclamation, with a single, small, non-negotiable action in the direction of the higher standard. That action sends a new signal, a new piece of evidence, a new vote for who you are. And that compounds too. Decision 4 is about something most people think they're doing right. They're not. In fact, the way most people approach this particular area of their life is almost perfectly designed to keep them stuck. Stay with me.